Hello.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, I present to you Sidekicks Paranormal. Today, we have some incredible guests, and I'm going to let Marilyn introduce them because she has all of the insight. She's about to drop some paranormal knowledge on y'all. I hope everybody's having a fantastical day today.
You are way too hyper tonight.
I know. I had a sausage griddle sandwich and it was delicious.
Okay, and then I saw the cookies, so
yeah, and I had some cookies. Yes.
So yeah, our guests tonight are going to be Chris Carr and Kristen Johnson. They are with Dark Horse Paranormal. They have the Dark Horse Paranormal podcast and host of Bigfoot and the Bunny. They are avid phenomena researchers and investigators. They believe that while spirituality is most often a subjective experience, there is an objective reality that we all traverse through and can only understand through the lens of consciousness. So,
well said.
Let's bring them in.
Okay, let's do it.
Hi, Michelle. Hey.
Hey, people.
Good evening.
Long time no see.
Right? We've missed you guys. We've missed everybody.
Yeah, we've been a little out of the loop. Can you hear us okay?
Yeah.
Great.
Michelle, what's up? We'll see you in April, yes. Kristen, hello. I'm Francis Prancelot. I'll be here.
He's also known as Mike.
Yeah, I do.
We know you. So good to see you.
It's wonderful to meet you, Mike.
And it's great to be on. Thank you for having us. We really appreciate it.
So the first thing I want to ask is Dark Horse. I mean, where did that name, where did you pluck that out of the ether? I mean, is it you just don't like light horses? Is that how you like your coffee? Dark, not a medium roast person?
I am a medium roast person, but the name refers to an underdog. And the paranormal field is just one that just is very convoluted. And we're not like, I don't know, 16 anymore. So I figure we're kind of like a dark horse just trying to get in there and just get your attention, I
like it.
So hi, Karen and Betsy.
We may have a better story about Bigfoot and the Bunny.
Yeah.
Go for it.
We can
better
tell
story.
that whenever you want. And then somebody said something about shots or something. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. So we start every show. Like today I have my Captain Morgan sliced apple. Quite delicious. However, it's not as delicious as I was hoping. That's probably why it was in the clearance section. My bad. But I have my little outhouse shot glass that I drink from. So
that's awesome.
Jamie, hello, Jamie.
And then I have my fireball. As you can tell, we've gone through a little bit.
Just a skosh.
Okay.
Jamie, Doof, Michelle, Betsy. Grab a drink with Chris, Kristen, Marilyn, and Francis Prancelot. What up, Drew?
We're doing.
What is your alcohol of choice?
Yes. Okay.
I don't really like anything much. I don't do shots. I'm not one for shots. So I've got Sambuca. I do like black licorice. So, there's mine. How about yours there?
Well, I've got a little bit of a Schlager Schnapsmeister.
Whoa. Well, you didn't tell me they were fancy in Rhode Island.
No, that's the pun for this.
It's actually, I'm quoting Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Oh, I love that show. Amazing.
Really good. And they used that term in their latest season. And
I have to watch the latest season.
Last night and I was in tears. So, but it's not too far away.
I have never watched it.
Oh, it's hilarious.
Oh, it's amazing. I love that
I've
show.
never watched it either until he got me into it. And it really is funny. It is.
The Nightmare. My favorite one is when they try to find Charlie a date. And he goes and he tells the lady that he's a full-on rapist.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I about died. Oh, Jamie, let's see here. Scott, you are a little late. Jello shots. Whoop whoop. My drink of choice is ice water.
Yeah. Scott Orn out there.
Scott Orn, Carol Garcia. Everybody ready?
This is to all you.
Oh, Jägermeister.
The label.
Yeah, you dangerous.
I don't want them suing us or anything.
No. Woo!
Ah,
Wow.
Okay.
my God,
Hi,
that tastes like
Carol.
1995.
Hi, Kim.
Somebody asked, what does cheap liquor taste like? It tastes like this. This is cheap liquor. Wow. Like, I can't tell if I just took a shot of alcohol or just ate like a handful of tin.
Oh,
We were just talking about that on the way down here. We were talking about Goldschlager,
And the little
Ah.
flakes,
right? The little flakes were actually like tin foil. They weren't really gold
They
flakes.
said they were
Yeah.
back in the day.
Oh,
Like,
no.
are we
Oh.
excreting this? Is my urine worth like $25 an ounce? Maybe it's a good deal to buy that stuff. I don't know.
I don't know, but I know a place where you could donate sperm and you could say, hey, this is top notch now.
it's golden.
It's got all the minerals you crave.
That's why we were running late.
Yeah.
You were donating, or
Yeah.
Okay.
Now that we've diverged, please tell me about. Oh man, look, now I got liquor all over my elbow. How'd that happen? Even the bottle is cheap. Okay. So please tell me about Bigfoot and the bunny.
Okay. Well, Chris used to have this house in Western Massachusetts, and we had bunnies in the yard. And the bunnies, they were so cute. We used to feed them, and don't make a pun of that because PETA will be after our asses. But I used to feed him fruit, and I used to
From
make
sangria.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and he thinks from the sangria that afterwards I would give the bunnies the fruit, and they'd be drunk bunnies. It's not true.
That's true.
You did that. I didn't. Okay. So anyway, lots of bunnies in the yard. So one night we're out in the driveway. We have a really bad habit. We smoke. So we vape. So we were outside smoking. It was nighttime, and we were looking up at the stars like we usually do. And something just came flying by. It was bright red. It was an orb. It was faster than a plane, but it really much slower than a
Than a shooting
meteorite.
star.
Yeah,
No,
meteorite.
It wasn't a shooting star, but it was moving really fast.
And we watched it, and we watched it go all through the horizon.
And it wasn't a satellite.
all I could know.
Debunkers.
It was
Yeah.
too low, right?
Yes,
Well, it was pretty high.
It
but
was high.
We've seen
Like-
satellites. It was different.
yeah, it was.
It was
bright
high.
red.
You weren't high.
No, at that time we weren't.
at that
So-
time.
How'd you like that one?
And some other phenomena had been happening in the house. I had recently moved in it. I was renting this
Yeah.
house close to my office, right? At the time. And it
Yeah.
seemed like a lot of stuff was going on. And we're looking at this like friggin' UFO going over the house.
All I could do was look at him and point up. I couldn't say anything because it was just so. I was like in awe, and he saw, and he didn't say anything to me. So then he turns around and he says to me, "The next thing you know, you're going to see Bigfoot chasing the bunny through the yard."
Right.
So
So it's just a crack I made about the bunny, Bigfoot chasing a bunny
yeah,
to the yard because we had all this weird stuff happening since I was in there. And then when we needed a show name, Kristen says, "How about Bigfoot and the bunny?"
and I was only joking. I'm like,
She
"How
thought
about
it was
Bigfoot
funny.
and the
I'm like,
bunny?"
"That's wicked catchy."
I'm like,
And we say
"Come on."
wicked. By the way, we're from New England.
Yeah.
And we say things like wicked. We mean
Wicked
it's
awesome.
wicked good. And sometimes our accent, especially after a shot. So you might hear us say something like, "Oh, it's
I'm
wicked
sorry.
fun."
Well, that's me being in Texas. My accent comes through even more.
See, every once in a while, she'll make a twang.
Yep,
I
you'll
love
hear it.
that.
So yeah, we have these things, right? So we started doing podcasts and they were audio only, and that was Dark Horse Paranormal, and that's what we would call ourselves in amongst other paranormal people. Like, what team are you? We're Dark Horse Paranormal. We did our
It's just
thing,
us.
but it's really just her and I and whoever comes with us that day. And we collecting our audio samples. We really do like ITC a lot, and most of our stuff and examples and stuff are audio sound clips, So we decided to do this live show, and we called that Bigfoot and the Bunny. And we did this for a few years, and we did it weekly, and we were doing 2 shows a week. And up until, I don't know, about 4 months ago, when we just needed a freaking break.
It's time consuming. It's not that, but it's also
we've been keeping that up, right? But now we've been absent from everything, but we're not dead. We're doing
not
good.
dead yet.
Greg Koss is worried to death about us. He
Yes.
calls all the time. Are you guys okay?
We love
Are
Greg.
you okay? We love him with our heart. He's a great guy.
We love
Our friends always checking in with us because we haven't done a show in a while. Like the holidays came, we got COVID.
we got burnt out.
Yeah.
Before we got
all this
COVID, and
stuff.
we were like, and we have a couple of other things in the background that we're doing that we want to do that are going on
that are about to happen.
Yeah,
so hang on to your seats. What we're doing is something totally different.
Yeah.
We are still going to do a live show, but what we're doing is a pre-recorded show that's more like a mini documentary. And it's not going to be either Bigfoot the Bunny or Dark Horse Paranormal. They're going to be more topic driven, but it's going to be us hosting the thing. We've got this amazing interview with Nathaniel Gillis, who's like a really good friend of ours. He's like our brother. We love this guy. We don't agree on everything that we talk about, but that's what real friends are about, right?
And it's not like we go out when we go, or he comes here or something, and we talk about that all the time either. We're really good friends.
So we talked to him. We did a kind of almost a lecture interview type thing. We've turned it into this sort of mini documentary that we're almost done with. We might even have done for Saturday. We'll see. The process of doing this, because it's like way more professional than what we've done in the past. There's video effects, there's all kinds of things and lots of editing going on.
A lot.
And it was a lot of things to work to get a kind of a workflow going between us to like get the thing done. It's going to be called Alien Gods. And we're going to be talking about gods and paranormal and how like these things are related, and are they aliens, with paranormal phenomena. And it's really cool. I mean, Nathaniel is amazing in the thing, and we can't wait to get it out to you guys. So that's what we're doing, and we're going to premiere those and follow them up after we premiere them with a live show right after, and that'll be just a fun hangout like we're doing right now, and do that.
Very cool. I'm gonna answer some questions here. Annie Waters asked, "How am I this evening?" I'm good. My butthole's a little itchy. I should probably switch my toilet paper or fix my technique. I'm not sure which is which yet. Some investigation needs to be done in that area, but I'm on it. Other than that, I'm doing. There you go, Charmin.
Highly recommended.
No, don't do that, because I was about to do that. Okay.
Your booty is Charmin when you're with Charmin.
You should use wipes the flushable wipes that aren't flushable. If you turn the package around and read it, they are not flushable.
They're not flushable.
But they work really well. There's also preparation.
I go with the wet towel, just one of these.
Yeah.
So okay.
Damn, you're a nasty.
My dad was obsessed with a brand called Angel Soft.
Oh yes.
Right. And I was always like, it's like wiping your ass with an angel. But then you go and you look up pictures of angels, and they all got flaming swords and armor. I don't want to wipe my ass with that.
They have wings covered with eyes, you want to get
it's
like
It's ridiculous.
8 wings.
Here's to your clean butthole.
Oh yes.
Oh shit! Oh god, we don't have any
ones. So we can
okay,
share.
we'll do this.
You do those slip eye.
Oh, you guys do this all the time. I'd be shitted.
We used to do this all the time.
No,
Carol missed Kristen and Chris so much. I feel like I lost some brain cells since you've been gone.
She told me that too in a message. She sent me a message and she said that.
We love you guys. We miss you, everybody, a lot. Like we've been off of social media, so we really just vanished.
I was right. If you use a one-ply, you'll be in touch with your inner self. Yeah, it's like giving yourself your own proctology exam. It's ridiculous.
Well, Mike got a thumbs up on his proctology exam earlier, so
I did.
Excellent.
I did, yeah. I told him next time, let's go for 2.
Oh, God.
So that was in Massachusetts. You no longer live in Massachusetts, correct?
We're in Rhode Island right now.
Okay. Yeah. And where is that?
It's on the East Coast, upper East Coast. We're part of New England. It's the biggest little state in the Union. That's what they say about Rhode Island. It's a teeny tiny state. So
do you still get paranormal phenomenon in Rhode Island?
Oh, God, yeah.
Oh, God, yeah. The Conjuring House is here, if you're into that.
I actually didn't know that.
10 minutes down the road.
From here.
What?
Yeah.
Road trip.
Yeah.
That's right. You should come on down. We'll take you.
Or up.
Or
my
That's right.
toilet
I'm down
brand
in Texas.
crap. Somebody.
Legitimate brand. Thank you, Michelle.
We
I might have to Amazon that later. So do
yeah,
you ever
here.
have you
Yeah,
gone into the Conjuring house, or
we have. Yes, we have.
what's your honest opinion? I mean, just another house,
Oh,
all
no.
cracked up to be.
It's not what you think. I mean, it's certainly
Yeah.
not the movies. It's not that. But there is an energy in that
Yeah.
land. Go ahead.
We've had Andrea Perron on, who grew up in the house, who the movie was loosely
Andrea's
based
cool.
on.
Loosely, yeah.
And she had said it is
Very loose.
Yeah.
Andrea, it's like a smidgen of truth in there.
Yeah, there's like 3 things that are really real.
So this is a great question for you then. Do you feel,
It's haunted.
and Marilyn to you, and anybody that's in our chat right now, do you feel the movies are doing a disservice to paranormal investigating?
Okay, stop. They're movies. So yes, I do.
Grain of salt. It's a horror movie. It's not the real thing. Don't think it is. Of course, it's not the same thing.
Right. It's not.
It's
like
entertainment.
that's
It's not that the
exactly
same
what it
thing
is.
Cannot be as crazy as a horror movie. So let me put that caveat in there.
Yeah.
It's very uncommon, but we've had experiences that are absolutely mind-blowing and should be in movies. But the horror movie rendition of
Right,
a
in a
particular
screenplay.
place, I've yet to see one really done right. And nothing come to mind. Amityville Horror wasn't right.
Nope.
Right.
I don't know. Can you think of any? I mean, Conjuring is, outright trying to be fiction. Really.
Lizzie Borden, that's in Fall River. It's another one. I mean,
Right.
a lot of people go
What
there.
series are you thinking of?
Which
That's
one?
true.
Yeah.
There's so many.
There's
right?
so many of them. And
Well, I think in the movies they do have some of the elements that are actually true that can happen, but they embellish it so much to make it glorified. So that's
I mean,
exactly what Andrea Perron said about her house, the Conjuring house at the time. Yes.
Yeah.
House on Round Top Road, I believe it is.
Farm on Round Top Road.
That's it.
Yeah.
Scott just said movies are made for financial gain, not factor education. That's true.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, so there were some things in the movie I think that were true. One of the things that was when they had a seance at her house, her mother was thrown across the room.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
literally like, I don't know, 12 feet or something from a table. And I think that's in the movie. How it ends is not in the movie.
Right.
Her father was so upset with that. They threw them out.
Wow.
And there was actually a fight. And
Somebody punched somebody in the nose. And
there was a broken nose involved. There's all kinds of stuff not in the movie because they make those characters look so great.
Right.
The Warrens. But we're not here to tell tales. Guys can check out that interview. It's in our archive somewhere.
Yes, please.
Yeah. But I just thought this would be seems like you're so close. This is an interesting conversation. And a lot of people have chimed in. You mean the Blair Witch Project wasn't real? I'm starting to think maybe it wasn't.
Well,
it came from some true story.
It did. That's the thing about these movies.
Some
it has
roots.
some true elements, like Mary Lynn was saying.
Yeah. And I feel like even other paranormal investigative shows, I don't want to throw any under the bus, Zach Bagans, but I don't want to. So I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but that do use excessive amounts of demons and being possessed.
We have a
Possession is real.
It is real.
Absolutely.
It is my cousin. No, I'm kidding.
No, we have a series. If you guys go back in our archives at Dark Horse Paranormal or Bigfoot and the Bunny, we have a series called the Dreaded.
I will, Bill.
The Dreaded D series, which is
D-word.
Everybody says it's a demon.
The dreaded D word.
The Dreaded D word series. That's it. Thank you. And we have like 3 of them.
See, we're excited. We haven't been on the air in like so long. Like,
Right.
There's people watching us right now. Oh my
But
god!
I feel like what it does is like, so for me, example, I'm new to the whole thing, right? I'm in the stage where I'm learning everything. And when you watch some of these shows, I think you go in the shows and even the movies, right? Because if you're a paranormal investigator, a lot of times, if you're just a novice, this is probably where you got your start. You probably watched a Conjuring or you watched a Ghost Adventures and you went, all right, that's cool. I could do that. And then you go, and it's not really. I mean, you don't realize how many hours of filming are involved, how much of it, how much isn't real, how much of it's fictitious. So there's so much more, and I feel like it does the disservice to the boots on the ground people like yourselves, like Marilyn, like Michelle with Gypsy Witch Paranormal, one of our sponsors, the Horn Paranormal, who make equipment for this stuff.
They're
Right?
amazing. You know,
It does them a disservice, right? Because they imagine people probably buy like, the Horns equipment, and they go, hey, I didn't pick up anything right away. What gives? And it's not like that. It doesn't work like that.
No, they're not on command, and that's what they don't understand. When you go in, it could take hours for you to get responses.
Exactly.
And if anything, the spirits may be looking at that like they may have a sense of humor. Is a very possible thing, and they're not going to happen on camera. Sorry.
Yeah.
Wait till you turn that thing off. And you play back the recording.
Right.
Like I don't know how many times we've done like sessions where we're trying to get like an EVP and we're asking questions, and we get all the EVPs before we ask the questions, or when we're done and we're wrapping it up. That's where they are.
Right.
Like it's just like a big middle finger. Like, hey,
hey, here you go.
I know.
Well, and are either one of you psychic?
We are inclined to those things. We're also very into the occult and that sort of thing, which I think is way ahead of the game in the paranormal, but I don't know. We can talk about that if you want.
Yeah. So Marilyn is a psychic medium. Michelle who's in our chat. She's got some abilities. Annie has some abilities. Kim Horn also. And I feel like some of the shows, like, we just recently, we've been watching the Holzer Files, which is fantastic, by the way. But Kaza is, what's that?
Hans Holzer.
Yeah.
I know it's his daughter that has the show, but Hans Holzer books were my first paranormal thing I ever read when I was a kid, like reading Yankee Ghosts. Fantastic friggin' book. That was paranormal before we had all the shows and all that stuff. It was much harder to find. Most of us were stuck with like Hardy Boys and Nancy Drew, but Hans Holzer had books out there that were pretty intense and pretty cool.
They have a psychic on there, Cindy Kaza, who is, I do believe she's just downright amazing. But you don't realize that there's a lot of hours filming, and they do kind of squeeze things in her to make her seem probably more accurate than she actually is being at that time. And I think that makes it difficult for people maybe that are psychically or mediumly inclined, who may have a gift, but maybe they don't see that type of response and think that because they don't pursue it.
Right. It's very tough for psychics. We don't use the moniker necessarily, or we haven't yet, but it doesn't mean we don't have psychic experiences. Everybody has psychic experiences.
Whether they don't believe it or not.
If your phone is buzzing in your pocket and you know who it is before you pick it up. And everybody has experienced that, right? Rupert Sheldrake talks about that.
Yes.
There are all kinds of things. If MI6, the British version of the CIA, for example, is something Rupert talks about. They train those people to know what it's like to have people looking at you, so they know if they're being seen, because they know the phenomena is real. You do feel that. You do feel with somebody hidden
primal
looking at you
anyway. So yeah.
You do have those experiences where, like, out of the blue, and it's not just the person that calls you all the time. I bet that's the friend I haven't heard from in 10 years or whatever. Yeah, you just know, like, before you look at your phone, right?
Marilyn, how do you think TV has affected you being a psychic medium?
I don't think it's affected me because I don't take it as real. I work with my clients. Whenever I'm talking to them, they know what my abilities are, and I don't have to prove myself. So
you would just say, no, understand your own limits,
Yep.
understand what you perceive, and just set expectations with a client or with your environment.
Now, I can say that Kim actually tested me several times, or a lot of times, just to make sure I was the real deal. So that was something that I had to keep proving to her, but there are times we do have to prove it, but it's not consistent. So it's something that I don't worry about anymore. And
Cindy Kaza is one of the few people in this world that I would probably have her baby. Okay. Like I would have the baby. Okay. So Kim has a question for both Chris and Kristen. Okay. Do you think your studies in the occult help elevate your abilities?
Absolutely. The
Absolutely.
occult world is like so ahead of everyone else. They just kind of take it as a given. Okay. Like it's one of the things we talk about on our show a lot of times is spirits filling a role. Okay. Like every town has a story about
A woman in white.
a woman in white, a little boy in the graveyard, and all these sort of things where this is like a known thing in the occult world. If you can talk to, people that are really into their witchcraft or sorcery or something, this exists and has existed for a long time. Like, for instance, when you hear about like the Ars Goetia demons, right? There's 72 demons and listed in that grimoire from the Middle Ages. And they command, a certain one may command like 72 armies or 25 armies in hell or something like that.
Yeah.
What you're getting when you try to communicate with that demon is somebody in that army, and that's why they give you those numbers. They're filling the role of the main entity, and the same thing happens on a different scale when you're in a cemetery, a very powerful place, by the way. Any kind of burial ground is extremely a powerful point of communication with the discarnate, more so than the individual people that are buried there. There's something very sacred about anything that a place that's used for burial, and that goes back millennia through humanity.
Yes.
It's always
That's really interesting. I have some thoughts on that, but continue.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, I think they are way ahead. There's all sorts of examples. The idea of working with spirits and talking to the dead is just more accepted, I guess. Where
from the occult point of view,
paranormal world,
yes,
it's always like, well, is that real? Is everything real? Is it a ghost? Is it this person? Where there's more occult ideas look back at maybe how things were treated historically. There's this idea of different levels of a soul. Okay, a person dies, and I think on most of the shows, you think you're talking to the exact same person, but now I don't have a body. Where it may be an aspect of that person. There's a deeper thought into it, a multi-layered soul, a part that maybe goes back to the ancestors, a part that rises up to be part of the consciousness of all of us, like kind of a source type thing, where you might experience something like past lifetimes, where you may be rubbed against, part of consciousness that lived a different life than you. That sort of thing.
So, Chris, Kim has posted another comment. Just because you're working within the occult, that doesn't mean that you are worshiping them, right?
Okay.
Before you answer, I want to get Lovecraftian on this. And see, Annie. So, Lovecraft, he helped kind of create the mythos of Cthulhu, right? And obviously, anybody knows Hastur, the King in Yellow, right? So, and the whole thing was the more knowledge you attempted to seek, the more it would seek you, right? Mm-hmm. So just by learning, you were automatically basically trying to create a connection, whether you knew it or not. So continue, please.
That's excellent. And yes, that's actually true.
The Lovecraftian stuff was based on true occult things. Of course, he made up his own grimoire, and the Necronomicon,
yes,
is a product of fiction, but it's not totally fiction. It's kind of like reworded history of jinn and other methods of the medieval grimoires that are freely available out there on the internet if you care to read them, or buy a book that maybe an author's put some time into how to work it.
The thing about the word occult just scares people, I think, and yes, but it's not. It's the supernatural. It's mystical. That is what the word means. So, for anybody out there listening,
there are a lot of occult things that happen in the Bible. I got to put that out there. Like, there's all kinds of occult in all the major religions. Yeah. Like, it's hidden, but it's not hidden. But it's more like hidden in plain sight. Like, read it. What does it say? Wine. How do you do that?
Turning water to wine. I mean, that's pretty. Here
we go. Right.
Trick.
Walking on water. I mean, I would say there's definitely lots of.
Yeah, the angels. Like I mentioned before, when you read the book of Enoch and you talk about what the angels really look like in the Bible, right? In the First Testament,
All eyes.
they have something like 8 different wings covered in eyeballs,
Right.
looking extremely much like an alien, The prep, plug, alien gods coming soon. This sort of thing. It's right there. Like, look at it. It's not about worship necessarily, but recognition, sure.
Yes. Recognition has a lot to do with the occult.
And I think another thing that is lost is those that maybe are Catholic or Christian or Jewish, or you may not realize that a lot of those holidays were usurped, right?
Yes.
I mean, a lot of them could have were pagan or occult in origination, but over time have just been adapted or adopted.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
You are exactly
and
right.
pagan is a big word for all pre-Christian things, right? Isn't it?
Right.
It's a big umbrella word for all kinds of things. Look at shamans. All of us are descended from some tribe that had a person in it that was magical and talked to the dead and talked to spirits.
Oh,
and was
please
divine.
do tell. Mesopotamia. That's another one.
Yeah, absolutely. Mesopotamia wrote about it. They were the
Can
first.
you imagine the first guy that did this? He probably blew everybody's minds.
Right.
But there's a thing, because we have Wilson for that.
We do. All right. To talk about Mesopotamia.
Yes.
They were very much into the idea of having an afterlife. I mean, a lot of the previous major civilizations, the Egyptians were very into the afterlife. Most people know that, right?
Very.
They're burying the cats with them so they can have them in the afterlife. And there were these big rituals, and they are written down and documented and translated. They were very into this idea that there is life after death. And they're not really, as far off from what we think today, as you might think, except, with the Sumerians and Mesopotamia, they tended to bury their dead actually in the floors, right? Under their housing.
Yes.
Yeah. And it was a big to do. The eldest son maintained those graves, made sure everything was kosher with the, right, with their deceased relatives. If they had an issue, and I haven't yet seen this on Ancient Aliens, but if they had an issue, like say, an uncle, was haunting the house or had some kind of problem with the family, they would actually dig up the body of that person who lived their cemetery and their house were one in the same room, right?
Yeah.
They're under the house.
Yes.
They would use the skull. They would put it on a table. They would bring in possibly a necromancer or a religious figure to come in and work and talk to that soul and see what is wrong. And they'd work out those issues.
Wow.
So the idea of communing with the dead is only foreign in recent history.
It's been going on for millennia.
Our societies today, it seems like, oh my God, I can really communicate with dead people. Yes, you can.
But it's been going on for eons.
Millennia.
And I wish they still did that now. Because I would want to be buried with like a honk nose. So anytime they stepped, it'd be
Oh, good God.
I love that.
Awesome.
So there is a lot of history. So when you start to look into the history of things, and it's not really so much hidden knowledge, in today's world, you can find this information out.
When you say Mesopotamia, give me like a timeline. Obviously, we're talking BC, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like what type of BC?
We're talking around 2000 BC.
It's 5,000. So nope.
No, it's a 5,000. She's better at that than I am.
Nope. Because we love ancient cultures. So
yeah, we
it's
do.
in BC. So it would be
what up, Leo?
It's about 4,000.
We're talking cuneiforms.
Yeah.
I mean,
cuneiforms look like the cuneiform tablets that they find in Iraq, the Levant.
Mm-hmm. The Levant. Good job.
we're talking. I think at that point we're talking time, and this is another thing that's pretty interesting from just talking about this and talking about and how this relates to the paranormal is I think as an individual who's on this earth, your physical body that is on this earth right now, you've got 80, 90 years, right? Let's just say on average.
Sure.
Wow.
That might be generous. So when you think about 5,000 years, I think that you humanly cannot process.
No. You can.
Right? What it actually could have been like, what time could have been, just what religion would have been like, what people could have possibly been going through at that moment.
I think my ancestors and his ancestors, every bloody morning, day, night, for actually surviving.
Yeah.
To have us here right now.
We hope they weren't banging.
That's
well, at some point they were.
Right. You're right.
We almost were related at one point.
Well,
so we're not going to go there. DNA tested. So.
Well, and this is interesting because this kind of comes into the whole past lives discussion, and I don't know where you sit on the whole past lives, but I've always been. It's interesting because I have this theory, and I've talked to Marilyn about this, that you go back 5,000 BC, there was maybe a billion, 700,000, maybe a billion people, maybe, right? Maybe. Mm-hmm. There's 8 billion now?
Yes.
Is there like a line outside Earth that I don't know about?
Right. The numbers don't add up, right? So you're not recycling you can recycle every soul, but you need a lot more.
But it would also explain why some people remember and others don't believe.
Maybe.
It's a theory. I like that.
Some of the stuff that we've read, and there's no way to prove any of this stuff. I mean, it's only theory, and you base things on your experiences, and you just move from there, right? We can look at history. We have experiences, we write it down. We talk about it on shows like this, and hopefully we learn something from it. But yeah, there are way more people on Earth right now than there were living, say, 10,000 years ago.
That they know.
However, there are way more dead people if they're all individual.
Yeah.
Way more if you do that math, which we've looked at.
Right.
It's incredible, like how many people have died, like in that span of time, of course.
I've had that conversation with Marilyn, and because they call heaven the Silver City. Do you realize how crowded that place would be?
Where?
The Silver City, heaven.
Oh, yeah,
yes.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Right.
The city.
I don't think it quite works like that. I don't know.
They call it the Silver City. Man, I don't want to be dead and take a bus still, Like, come on, man.
I ran out of tokens in this lifetime, unfortunately.
God. There's got to be like 1 trillion people up there. Man, I got to wait. I'm going to have to wait like 30 minutes just to use a chest press machine.
I think what is really good of all of this research, though, and all this talking about it, is that there is proof of some kind of afterlife.
Yes.
No matter what you believe, what religion you adhere to, if you even adhere to one, there is really good data.
We're very eclectic. We love all the
shows
religions.
That when you die, you're not just dead in the ground. Some part of you, maybe many parts of you, continue to live on.
I hope it's my penis.
And are available to communicate with the living. If you're interested in this stuff, think about your ancestors, your relatives, put up a picture of them. Ancestral worship is probably the best place to start if you're into the paranormal.
Is another word, like a cult.
That was very good for the Japanese.
Veneration is a better word. I'm sorry, not worship, but veneration.
Very.
Put that up, light a candle for them.
And what were you saying about the Japanese?
Take a few minutes out of your day to look.
They're very big into the ancestral, not worship, but veneration. I mean, they're very big on understanding and complimenting their ancestors.
Sambuca. Sick. No.
Yeah, I meant veneration is where I was going with that.
Yeah.
I put up pictures of my deceased relatives in a certain place, and I like it, and I light a candle for them like once a week. And when I look at those pictures, just taking the time to look at the pictures and just remember something.
I do it
helps
every day.
me connect to them. Yes, Kristen has the same thing. You connect with them, and there's something happening. So that's good. It's a powerful feeling. It's not just your emotions. There's something else at play. And if you're interested in the occult stuff or talking to spirits, that's a great place to start. An ancestral altar, they call that.
What do you think, Marilyn?
Oh, I agree. Same thing.
You're very sparkly over there.
Do what?
I said you're very sparkly back there.
Background.
Oh,
Your back-
yeah. Yeah, for me, it's like you're talking about. It's an altar. I do the same thing. Have those and just set it up, and it's not praying to it, but it's just kind of for me. It's acknowledging. Yes, just acknowledging that, and just going through the motions every day, and just putting that out there. That's the energy. So completely right on track with you guys.
Whatever you think about, you draw. And this can also lead to a bad thing in the paranormal.
Yes.
We can get an attachment. We can tell you a story about that. We had gotten some kind of like cryptic.
God, this was back with the bunnies.
Yeah, we're going back.
Going back to the bunnies
recordings. We had gotten them in front of a mausoleum in a large cemetery, but we had read about this mausoleum in a news story. It had been a couple of years, it had been some time, but it had been broken into
7 times.
7 times, and the last person who broke into it and stole bones from it.
And there was 2 children's bones. Yeah.
And the police caught the guy, and it turned out he was a practitioner of Santeria, and he was using the bones in his rituals, which was pretty interesting, right? It's a pretty interesting news article. I'm like, wow, we should check out that. We went out there, and we were in front of the mausoleum. We were asking for EVPs, and we started getting this cryptic message on the box, and it kept repeating itself.
It speaks.
And it was like,
can't escape.
Speaks.
We have it.
And it just kept like looping, and I kept hearing it, and it would sometimes be an extra word. And we started like thinking about it too much. And then we started to find that we could get this response anywhere we were. Now we were obsessed with what all of this meant. What did all this mean? Like, what the hell is communicating with us? Is this real? Is there something wrong with the radio? That sort of stuff, and trying to debunk it.
We used different radios too for this.
The more we thought about it, the more we could get it anywhere we were.
Wow.
So what was happening was the spirit, because of our thought, right, it was getting attached to us.
Right.
Yes.
And weird things started to happen in our homes.
Very weird.
Weird things started to happen in our lives. Very weird. And what happened? We ended up haunting ourselves over the obsession.
So you manifested it.
Yes,
we did. You manifested.
Yes, we gave it energy, and we manifested even more. And it was dark. It was very.
Even when you do a clearing on a house, even if they clear it, those people can still bring them back by manifesting, by continually talking about it. So that's what people don't
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's some kind of energy in that thought. Just thinking about anything, I think there's a form of energy there that we don't really understand as 3-dimensional beings, but it's there. Someday they'll figure it out. But absolutely, that works.
We got another great question in the chat. Thoughts on deja vu?
So before you go there, I just want to say my son James Rudolph, he's there. Hi, James. And he said that de los Muertos is another great example of remembering the past ones.
We've got it.
Yep.
Yep.
Hi, James.
Yeah.
Hi, James.
Yep.
There you go.
There you go. Yeah.
My thought on deja vu, I mean, some people say, well, it's like living in the Matrix. I don't really think that's the case. I think deja vu it could be a couple of things. One, it could be the fact that time is not linear. And if that's the case, then you can easily relive the same moment in time, completely unaware. 2, it could also be a form of fate, maybe trying to tell you something that it feels like you missed the first time.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah, those
are
valid.
I blame CERN, but okay. And government.
It could be something you've dreamt about. It could be a matter of what you just said, but like past, present, future, all happening simultaneously, and you're just getting a glimpse of the other view. I think as humans, we are extremely limited with like the idea of 5 senses, this 3-dimensional world. There's clearly something else going on. There's a whole nother ecology happening right around us, right in the same space that we're in, but it's not the same space. So I guess that gets into dimensions and like string theory and that kind of thing. Yeah, that may be very, very true. And we're just not aware because of the senses we have of touch and sight and hear to see what level they're actually on. That's very possible. Sometimes I feel like we're like, fish in a pond, you know what I mean? And the gods or what were the demons or the angels are the people walking around a pond, and maybe the source god is just the weather. I don't know.
That's good.
Good analogy.
Yeah. As the fish, you would not understand that it's raining, and that's why things are shaking, right? You wouldn't know.
I swear to God, I do blame CERN, and there's like 7 CERNs in the world or more. So I'm sorry.
It's all about.
And they're trying to build a bigger one.
So, Kristen, explain that. What do you mean by CERN?
Well,
Like
CERN,
how CERN.
they do a really. I had Sambuca.
It's a hadron collider.
Yes, thank you.
There's
more than one though. There's 7 of them.
Yeah, and they're building a bigger one.
I think there's 5 smaller than the other 2, and the poor guy's going like this. And I swear that they're colliding particles together and trying to make a wormhole or whatever they can freaking do. That's their thing.
Yeah, well, it could. We don't know what the effects of it are, and that's scary. And I mean, let's see what's scary about the paranormal. If you're in a house and you're walking by a counter and a coffee cup moves 3 inches to the right, it's going to scare the shit out of you, right? It's going to scare you. It does. It's no
scare the coffee out of me.
It was. Yes, it was. Yeah, right. That was okay to say the S word. That was the Jägermeister. Any kind of thing that really happens to you that you don't expect like that is scary, right? So like what they could possibly do at CERN with the particle acceleration is very scary. I mean, if they rip a hole in time as we know that sort of thing, like
a wormhole.
Yeah, pretty scary.
So the whole thing with the hadron collider is
I wouldn't want to live there.
When they originally created it, they actually had no idea what was going to happen. Very similar to the hydrogen bomb. So they had no idea.
Right.
They said it was pretty sure they knew what was going to happen, but they really didn't know.
They still
whether or not that, like the hydrogen bomb, it could blow. It could literally the explosion could continue and take up all of the oxygen in the known world, and we could blow up everything. We don't really know. Okay. They didn't really know with the collider. And they've done some tests, and what they're attempting to their biggest worry was that they would create a black hole.
Right, the black hole. Right.
Yes, that was like the biggest leading theory of what could possibly go wrong was we create a black hole on Earth and everybody gets sucked in and we die. Which, if you believe in dimensional realities, could have actually happened, and we are now living in a different timeline.
Thank you.
And it's the idea of
world.
Yes.
And that speaks to deja vu.
And that's why I have this shitty alcohol now.
We love
it. My God, we love you guys.
No, totally true, man. That could be it. We could just be jumping timelines. We've had dreams where you wake up from a dream.
Oh my God.
We're like living this intense life. It's so friggin' vivid. We even together and like wake up and like think, did that just happen?
We share dreams.
Emily just said that too. It's funny.
We like share dreams. We've had like alternate timeline dreams. I had like 5 timelines in a row. And
you have this idea.
That was binaural beats.
This is
that's
huge.
Another thing to go with.
Right. In theta states.
Right.
We love talking about that stuff, but bear with us. I so many thoughts are just jumping through my head.
Me too.
I'm thinking about what tulpas and stuff that are in the chat. We love that conversation.
You have glasses.
Yeah. It was, I think it was, so Bob had mentioned Slender Man was a thought created being, which is true. Which is Carol was the one that had mentioned, is that what is considered a tulpa?
Yes.
Right. Tulpa is a thought form. Saying you're talking about egregores, the idea of thinking something is real and it manifesting and becoming real. And our haunting, it is possible that we manifested the whole thing.
Exactly.
I'm not ruling that out. But so much weird crap happened. It wasn't like a regular haunting. Like it was so strange.
I don't think Slender Man was a tulpa though.
Slender Man was a fictional story. Short
story that was brought into being.
Sure.
People read it. They believed it. They didn't necessarily know it was fiction. And
if you are Christian and you believe that we are created in God's image and God has the ability to create, why couldn't we?
We are part of God, right?
Right. which
what-
means being able to create something like a Slender Man is possible.
We're spirits too. And I think people forget that. So they worry about what spirits can do to them. You are also spirits. You are a spirit.
Mhm.
If it's true that this is a deceased person in the afterlife, you are just as powerful as that, except you're in a body.
Not a meat bag. Right. Or in a meat bag. Yeah.
The meat sack. Yep.
Sack, meat bag.
Well, and that's where, like, we're talking about poltergeist too, is like you create a poltergeist. So the same difference, if you create that bad energy, Slender Man, talking about Hat Man, the shadow people,
Oh, God.
we can create those just by thinking about it and manifesting those.
You certainly can do it to yourself, and here's a line. I mean, who knows the answer to this? Are you manifesting it purely, or are you drawing something that already exists
That's
close
the
to yourself?
question.
Exactly.
That's,
Exactly.
I love it.
that's why we do what we do, trying to figure that out.
That's right.
That's-
We're all here.
And I genuinely, honestly hope we never actually come to a conclusion, because this is the fun. This is the joy. This is, I guess, you never want a book to end, right? And I feel like
A
a
good
good book, right? You never want a good book to end. And I feel like paranormal investigating is like being in a good book. And you really hope that you can just continue to write chapters. And I felt like if I knew something for a scientific or something for factual end, period, I think it would cease to entertain my imagination and my ingenuitive side.
interest. You would lose interest, is what it would
Yeah,
be.
yeah. It would be
Right.
like a high school class, English, biology, ghosts.
Yeah. And so I'm actually going to the conversation a little bit
Of course.
to talking about burial grounds. So I've always been of the opinion that a burial ground, to me, like a cemetery, would be a place of very little activity, because it has absolutely no bearing to the person while they were alive, right? This is just a final resting place. So all it is where their body is now. But when you hear about hauntings, most of the hauntings happen at location, right? Not so much at cemetery. Now you hear about stuff at cemeteries, but I've always been of the opinion, if I'm dead, I'm not going to want to hang out with my limp ass body. I'm going
Right.
to want to go where the action is.
Exactly.
Right. Now you're talking about yourself as a conscious self.
Right.
The other side of that is
Right.
that's the last place where your family and loved ones express and put out emotions, right?
Right.
To an area where you are now deceased and can't talk to them, which in itself must seem tragic, I would imagine, right? So there's an emotional outpour that happens in cemeteries, and I've sat in benches, like the marble benches that are sometimes there, and I can immediately feel the sadness.
So would you think, like, let's take somebody that maybe has passed but didn't have an opportunity maybe to close doors with people and may not even know where they are. So he figures, hey, if I stay here, maybe they'll come to me.
Right.
Opportunity is a good word, because there is that gap, obviously, in the ability to communicate. So maybe something that you wanted to communicate before you passed. So there is that. I think that's very valid. Also, I think there is something sacred, and the word sacred, it's a pretty big word.
Yeah.
About burial places, and humans have been doing it for millennia. Before we were civilizations, hunter-gatherer tribes would use a place to bury their dead. The indigenous people of the Americas, the Indians, right? Indian mounds, the Native Americans, they buried their dead together in mounds.
Yeah.
A common
they
phenomena around the globe.
But they knew, like, where the mounds are buried, like there, they knew that it was some kind of like, not a vortex, but like a special energy place.
There's an energy to it for sure.
Well,
Look at the fairy mounds of Ireland.
Fairies,
The Irish, up until I think the 1950s, would literally divert roads around mounds they considered to be fairy mounds.
To this day, yes.
So that actually brings me to another interesting concept that I've talked to Marilyn about, and that is what if as being, deceased, obviously you need energy to interact, right? And we always talk about, I will give you energy, or we'll set up machines to give you energy. So like right now, my light is going crazy. I'm not doing that. My light is just picking up my own.
Do that.
Yeah. So
keep going with your question. We've got this.
Yeah. So it's possible maybe that where your buried body is could be a place for you spiritually to recharge, which would give you reason to come back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've had that, yes, we've definitely had that conversation. Is like, if that's the resting place for it to go back and recharge and go back to where it's haunting or wherever it's trying to get its messages across. So
I love that.
Other people's thoughts, that emotional outpour we talked about, when you're saying goodbye and the body goes in the ground, perhaps that energy gets stored there somehow. Still thinking about them. I do think, these places are a great place to talk to the deceased. I can't imagine why any conscious deceased would want to hang around its burial place. Right. I mean, I get that point completely, and we've talked about that in the past for sure.
Maybe that being an energy source could be a reason why.
Right.
That's good.
Perhaps it's a reservoir for those emotions. I don't know.
So I can say I did a investigation with a couple friends, and we went to a cemetery, and I saw a little boy, and what had happened with him, he was killed, but he was still hanging out by his gravestone because he was waiting for his family. He did not realize he was passed, but he was waiting for them to come pick him up. So I helped him move on, but that's to where he was just there because he was waiting for them to come pick him, to come get him. He didn't know what to do. He was a little 2-year-old boy.
Oh God, that's awful. I'm sorry.
Right.
So, but it was something that very emotional, very, just to be able to move him on. It was something that I don't do that very often going into cemeteries, but it was something that I could not leave him there.
Yeah.
We understand.
Bob had asked a question. Bob Burnell. He said, is there any truth to iron keeping spirits in like iron fences and old graveyards? I've heard of like cold iron. What's that?
Said only if they're vampires.
Because I do know that cold iron is typically used to ward off against fae.
Yep.
Yeah. Iron has a long history, and this is a very small vial. And I just reached back here.
That we know of.
We have this because we've taken our investigations.
I carry one in my, as Jake calls it, my Mary Poppins bag. Oh. My pocketbook. Yeah.
Of, preventing spirits from crossing it, right? Now, in a certain way,
I keep a couple of balls in mine.
Seem more symbolic than literal if I put a line of iron behind us as we walk out of a haunted location. Like, why wouldn't the spirit just hop over the iron, right? It doesn't have to traverse it. But the idea of it is why you see iron gates around old, particularly Victorian cemeteries, because there is a strong belief in it. And maybe the belief is part of the manifestation.
Right. Instead of like...
And that's why it works. I don't know.
Body snatchers or whatever,
hold the idea that iron can prevent spirits from crossing. I know.
What is salt? Salt is for witches, right?
It does.
Salt is for witches. Oh my God.
No. We have no tries tonight, so no, it's not true.
No.
So Mike is very new to all of this. It's okay.
Which ironically, Russ, the iron, it is another thing that people do. A little salt in the windowsill to keep those spirits outside.
But it rusts the iron. Think about that.
Again, who has the answers? I mean, it doesn't hurt to try. And if you put your intentions into it and your belief into it, if you believe it, it may become more powerful.
Have to break this.
That's the key word, is the intent, because I've told people that I'll give them crystals, give them all this stuff. So I can give you a pencil and tell you with the intent, this is what I need for you to do. When you're holding this pencil, think about this. It's your intent of what you're going to do with that pencil as to what you want. So that is anything that you have. It's all in the intent on how you use it.
Exactly. And that's why salt is the intent
Universal, yes.
right?
To be able to seal and keep things protected.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yourself.
Yeah.
included.
Yeah. So we eat lots of French fries.
Yeah.
I love
We
that.
move on to the potato chip.
I saw the McCafe cup. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
I
right.
thought we wouldn't notice, but we did.
No word of a lie. I'm not possessed
I'm
because
not possessed. So, could you walk backwards from a cemetery and have the same belief? I mean, I don't know. I
I've
think so.
heard this before.
In the Caribbean,
People
there's
ask
a
this
spirit called a jumbie, and they use sand and shoes to deter them from entering homes. And
yeah.
hello, Sarah.
Those are different beliefs from different areas. You're going to get all
Yeah.
kinds of different
Exactly.
remedies of what you can come up with. Again, it's all in the intent. Even
Yeah.
Kim says brick dust is another one. So it just depends on what you use it for,
Voodoo.
how you want to, put it out there.
And this is what is the most intriguing to me is, especially if you're taught, I think at an early age, I went to Sunday school, one true God, this is the belief. And then you start looking back and you go, wait a minute. There's been religious beliefs. There's been countering beliefs from so many different regions of the world that were unknown at the time. And before Christ that existed. You look at the Greek mythology, the Roman mythology. Yeah, it's absurd how in depth and just how large the pantheon is.
Exactly.
And you have to go, okay, what am I missing? It really makes you consider, especially as I think as a paranormal investigator, because now you can't look at everything through a Christian lens.
No,
you have to look at everything through everything.
Theologian, everything. Yes.
Yeah.
Theologian.
Theologic lens. Yeah.
It's written by man, and that's where that was their opinion of the time.
Right.
And it's something that change it.
Exactly.
There are beings that we believe are not just discarnate humans. There are other entities out there.
Which alien gods. And Kim Horner.
I'm gonna plug it again because it's coming.
Across the creek.
It's something else. There are things. As long as man has written things down, there are stories of giants and there are stories of fairies, small, little people, elves, these sort of things.
They call them pugwudgies here.
We call them midgets.
It's terrible.
That's wrong. It doesn't matter what culture they're from.
Yeah.
Like cultures that never talk to each other will talk about extremely large beings and extremely small beings.
Yep.
All having a consciousness. And the idea animism, which is, was thought of, that's almost like dumb because, it was those primitive cultures over there were thinking everything's alive. Well, you know what? We're circling back to animism. These things do have a consciousness. We found out the trees are way more intelligent than we thought, and they don't have a brain. How is that possible? How is it that the trees know what their offspring are and will actually draw nutrients away from trees to keep their babies alive?
Right. It's the mycelium.
It's science today. It was mythology yesterday. So
exactly.
That's always my leading argument for a vegetarian. I'm like, you realize plants are alive, right?
Yeah, right. They just can't scream.
Yeah, you just don't hear their screams.
Right. There's like elementals and stuff and fairies and all that. So there's all kinds of beings out there. It's just a matter of if you're open to believing it.
Which brings us back to Bigfoot and the Bunny. Do you believe in Bigfoot?
Oh, we both have two different takes.
I want to hear them. Lay them on me.
Okay. So my take is, and I'm sorry for this, everybody out there, because they're our friends too, but I think it's a different race of hominins that have lived out and
Neanderthal.
What are you doing that for?
Are they the Neanderthals?
I completely agree with you.
You do.
They could be the Neanderthals, right? Like the remaining.
Different. Not a Neanderthal, but like a different species.
Some people say
like a Homo hairiness.
So exactly, that's what I believe, and they are just so smart and have just recluse themselves into the, he has a different take.
I
What was
tend to
your take?
it is more the interdimensional side,
Mhm.
that it is just something we cannot interpret with our senses 24/7. And then sometimes we see it, sometimes we don't. And it's just like a ghost. You can have 10 people in a room and an apparition walks through it. Only 2 of them saw it. Why?
Go with that.
Why?
So
That kind of thing.
Mike and I had the conversation too, is like, what if they're on the other side of the realm, just going through the other dimension, and that's when they pop in, they get what they want, and then they go back through. So
what if they have the ability to cross planes?
yes,
Right.
They can see where the veil is thin.
Mhm.
Right? All they have to do is cross over, hunt, get their food, cross back.
Do you think they
That's-
eat our 3-dimensional objects?
I do.
Yeah,
I do.
maybe.
I believe that's why they have to come to the physical plane.
Oh, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
that's-
For sustenance.
They eat the bunnies.
They eat the bunny.
I know I do.
Terrible. Oh my God.
I can see Bigfoot now. Hey, bunny, does shit stick to your fur?
Oh my God.
If only after a long night of drinking.
She thinks they're interdimensional as well. To me, that's the only explanation as to why we can't find them all the time, but find them sometimes. Would be that they have the ability of interplanar travel, and I think it comes from their ability to track and to see where the veil is the thinnest to allow them to cross.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can go with that, but I still believe that they're like feral beings or whatever.
Absolutely.
Also, I just wanted to let you know we cover everything, and we go under, it's under the paranormal is under the umbrella of everything.
everything. Yes.
Like UFOs, and I just have
cryptozoology.
to say, I am so pissed off with Jeremy Corbell right now. I'm sorry. I'm mad at him. It's like a freaking.
But I
So
do
just
believe
make a
paranormal
comment
covers
that-
everything, and because of that, I want to apologize to all the paraplegics.
Oh my goodness.
I just want to throw that out there.
I mean, Kim Horn's question says, she says, do you think that Bigfoot are demigods and they're worshipped or honored a lot by Native American tribes?
Yes,
And
yes,
that's a really
I do.
good question. I think
Thank
it was
you.
more that the Native Americans being more spiritual and in an earthly sense, where you weren't distracted by so many things like we are today. We're able to focus upon those things in their fleeting glimpses. I mean, there is something to just the way you look at an object with your 5 senses or your eyes.
Yeah.
Right. If you look at a wall, or we're so used to just seeing and calling it real. If you say, just for example, say you hold your finger up in front of your eyes, right? And you're looking at your finger, you take it away and look at the air in between that wall. Eyes are immediately going to want to focus on something. Try to look at that space, that in between space for a little while. You may start to see something. You may start to see something that shouldn't be there.
So I call that the other realm. So whenever I'm doing my psychic readings, that's what I actually do is I look here and then I look past you. And that's where I pull my information from and get my guides. So I'm working in that other realm.
So speaking of demigods and being worshipped by Native Americans, I also think that's a great bridge to Wendigos. Have you done any research into Wendigos?
They were
Yes.
scared of them. They didn't worship them, right?
Exactly. They were right. Exactly. So, but they were Bigfoot sized, but their whole thing was they were humans that ate flesh that turned into these beings of.
Same
Right.
thing as the skinwalker. Yes.
Yes. So,
Sure.
so now Bigfoot Skinwalker, is there a relation?
There could well be. I don't know.
Right.
We don't.
Nope.
Could be
It's like-
either way, so.
Holy shit! They stumped us.
Anyone?
That's an excellent question.
Kim even commented that they're the Bigfoot are not monkeys or apes or anything like that. No, I don't believe that either.
I don't know.
One thing you'll see through different cultures, you're going to see, again, like the little people, the very big people, you're going to see triplicities all over the place, especially in the Greek and Roman mythologies. You're going to see tons of them, whether gorgons or it could be all kinds of things. There's a lot of cross-cultural stuff out there. So just knowing that, even though some of these cultures never communicated, as far as we know, with each other, tells you there is something. There is something.
They do the same stuff. Yeah, they have the drawings, and how can you explain that?
So let me ask you this.
You know, we call them Pukwudgies and the Wampanoag tribe in New England here. Yes. Yeah, that kind of thing.
What's that?
Is there something that you do not believe in, that you do not believe is grounded in any form of reality?
Honest politicians.
Well, that's real. That's probably as many, and Tick is a blood-sucking animal. So
exactly, with Lyme disease, because it was
but,
me.
You know, like, do you think dragons are real? Were real? Do you believe that vampires, werewolves, leprechauns? Do you think any of that is grounded in any type of reality, or would you go, no, that's maybe a little too far-fetched?
Grounded in reality.
Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah, it is. It's definitely grounded in some reality. Yeah. You know,
You've
as far
got vampires in New Orleans, people.
Well,
there
are people. Yeah.
Before
There's a tricky subject with the blood drinking.
Yes.
There's an energy in the blood drinking.
Yes.
It's going to be real outside this bubble, though.
I had this conversation with Jake this morning. Werewolves. Let me see. Werewolves. Supposedly, the Vikings they before a battle went out and they like drank ale and everything, and of course, you know, they were hunter gatherers as well, and they, you know, skinned a werewolf. Oh my god. No shots for me ever again. A wolf. So I was talking to Jake this morning, and I was coherent. And I said to him, "Well, this is why. You know, they put wolf skin on, and they get all, you know, messed up on ale, we'll say, or mead.
Yep.
Yeah. And they went out and they just like beat the shit out of everything and everyone, and that's how
drunken rage. That never happens in bars.
Never.
Oh no. No.
Never.
But that's what I don't know. However, Chris has a story about that.
Oh boy,
Dogman. It's almost the same thing.
We're supposed to meet with somebody that has run-ins with the Dogman.
Yeah,
I think Dogmen are probably. I know. I did see a dog creature that was very big, but not very man-like. It was more like a way oversized wolf walked by me in a fog fishing. And this is before, I don't know, I wasn't doing anything paranormal at the time. I was very into fishing and, you know, that kind of thing. And I had fished like late into the night into sunrise. The sun came up and a fog had rolled off the ocean here, and it was thick as thieves. I mean, you could barely see your hand in your face. But a creature about this high on 4 legs,
that's pretty big,
walked right by me. It never looked at me. It went right by me, and I just went, what? What was that?
Just walked by.
Bigger than like a Great Dane and that kind of stuff. Plus, I'm far away from like any houses. I'm in a remote area on a beach. It wasn't
nobody around. So
very strange.
Did you hear any sound or smells or anything like that, or was it just
the pad of it hit walking on the sand?
You could hear that. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was just thinking, was it on in the other room?
Quite a few years ago.
In the
maybe
fog.
I didn't. I don't know. Ask me. I think I did. I mean, I saw it. I saw him go right by me.
It was like right up to here on
and
him.
He was gone. You know, I mean, it's 3 feet away. You could not see.
Right.
So it was gone. I wasn't drinking. I wasn't smoking anything with that fishing night or anything like that. Nothing weird about it. No mushrooms involved. With no what do you call it? Harvesting, gathering. What does he do? Forage. Forage mushrooms.
Forage.
I wasn't doing any foraging that night. True story. You know, and it was very strange, hard to explain. Much bigger than a dog.
Which made me kind of believe. I'm like,
didn't even look at me.
geez.
I saw its head. It didn't look at me. It just.
That's why I wonder if it was in the other realm and you just kind of imagine yourself hearing the padding. So it's on the other side and you see it, but it doesn't acknowledge
Yeah,
it.
your subconscious kicks in and goes, okay, yeah.
You expect
That's
to
what
hear
you
that,
expect, yeah.
right?
Yes.
Exactly, Marilyn. You're totally correct, and maybe
Yeah.
that's what I'm thinking of. I don't know, but I do know I did see with my eyes the animal go by me, the creature, and it was enormous for a dog, and it had no business being on the beach walking by me.
And if it was that close, did you smell it? You
No.
know, you would smell it.
No.
And
No, I asked him all this stuff.
And you might be right about the pad noise. It might be my expectation of thinking that. I don't really recall.
well, that's like,
Linda Judd says, long time, by the way.
Oh, Linda, we love
Hey,
you. We
Linda.
miss you.
that's like you're looking at, someone, if there's, look at a crime scene and they come and get all the different witnesses. You have all these different versions of seeing the exact same thing, but they
That's
all have their own version of it. So it just depends on what you see, what you hear, and what you're feeling. So that's what I think
you
it was
remember.
probably in another realm.
Yeah. No, it could have totally been. It was a hard thing to explain. I remember telling Kristen the story. I know this sounds nuts, but
It's not, though, to me.
it's like super fog. But, you could see your hand in front of your face, but you couldn't see much further than that. And right by me it went. And it could have been a dog man. I don't know.
And so here's an interesting concept for you. Seems that we're talking about potentially being, maybe there was a thin plane between dimensions that allowed you to see this being, this creature. Is it possible that dinosaurs are alive and well today, except what we find is what's crossed over into our realm?
That is such an interesting question.
The past,
Very
future,
well
and
could.
present are all happening simultaneously, as some scientists theorize, then sure, that is a possibility, right? That's in the realm of possibility. I don't know. Maybe.
Well,
And do you think dinosaurs were or are real?
Okay.
Yes.
They were real.
That's a dumb question, I guess.
But
No,
look at the Loch Ness Monster.
Never.
That's
Did
okay.
Now here's the thing. Did they
They have their points.
No. Well, so
Sorry.
their brains were small, we'll say, on most of them.
And
So is
they-
mine.
Did
as well.
they think about like above? Did they think about spirituality? Did they think about anything like that?
Well,
We
here's the
don't
thing: if we are spirits, right? Then the size of your brain really doesn't matter.
Well,
Okay. Here's another thing.
They're saying dogs are potentially sentient, and their brains are half the size of ours.
no,
That's right.
it's true.
My cat can hear things I cannot hear, right? Because of its sensory organs.
Yeah.
And that's why I keep going back to that thing of like we're limited by the five senses. Bats hear like a whole different spectrum of hearing, right? It's much higher than ours, and they use it to navigate their world.
It's adaptation.
It's
Yeah.
very real.
Yes.
They hear it. We don't hear it, so we don't think it's real. But they're
Well, we've
making
adapted because we don't need those senses
Right.
anymore. We don't have
Right.
things that are chasing us or after, trying to kill us.
Well,
right. Think about it like
Some-
a seventh sense.
Some of
What if there's some other sense,
anyway.
our sensory systems
right.
that we're not even aware of because we can't feel it.
Right.
That's why I'd say we're very limited in our senses, right? We
Right.
say 5 or maybe 6 senses if we're counting ESP or some sort of psychic ability. But that could span all sorts of senses that we haven't even defined yet because we can't feel them well enough to define it.
Well, and then we only use a portion of our brain. So what's to say that it's really not there? We're just not activating it.
There you go. There's
That's
the
the
timelines,
slit-
right?
that-
And
Maybe
maybe it doesn't activate until you lose your body.
if your brain's in another
Right.
timeline
Oh, you
or
can think
more.
about the double slit experiment with that.
That's right. Our
Yeah.
double slit. We have something good to say about that. Actually, it's pretty interesting. Are you guys familiar with that science experiment? Sorry, shot. You made us do a shot.
You-
We're gonna blame you.
That I did.
All right. So scientists did this, and I forget when now. I think it was in the 1920s. Used some kind of,
Or was it?
Yeah,
It was.
they used a ray gun. It literally was a ray gun. Shot photons, light particles through a slit in a board, right? And recorded how those photons landed behind it, like say a foot behind it.
Research this, yes.
Yeah, please look up double slit experiment. If I do not sock-tate this, right?
Mike, that was double slit, not double slut.
Yeah. No, seriously. Okay, so they land differently if they're observed by people than if they're not. So they put a board behind the board with the slit. They project the light through it, and it lands differently upon observation, and that goes to quantum physics. Okay, so upon observation, particles can act differently. And there's a certain interaction just by looking at them. And this is science, guys. This is not theory. This is a true thing. And when you get used to what that means and what the double slit experiment says about our observation, possibly manifestation, consider this. One of our guests, her name is Gail Heisen, and she's been the guinea pig. She's very psychic for a number of scientific studies that are documented and in journals and that sort of thing. She was able to move them with her thoughts. So not only observe them, but say, okay, I want the particles to land on that side of the board. And they went to that side of the board.
That's interesting.
A guy who documented that. He's not just completely legit stuff. This is not.
That makes you wonder, is there a spiritual science and a physical science?
I think it's more a science we don't understand yet.
Yes.
The spiritual meets the physical.
Shit, I don't understand any science. What are you talking about?
I don't know.
We love science.
I went to summer school once. I don't know.
I don't know.
We're very scientific, and skeptical as well, in a way, even though we're paranormal investigators and researchers.
Well, is it so much skeptical, or you just like to question? Right? Because skeptical means that you have a foot in disbelief, but I don't think that's the case.
I don't know about that. It's not disbelief. I'm sorry. It's not belief. I shouldn't have said that. All right. But I don't know.
Right? So it's not so much that you're skeptical, it's you're quizzical.
Thank you. Yes.
You have to ask questions, right?
That's the whole point.
We do want to know the spiritual ecology out there and like how everything works.
Man,
I mean, really, it's probably a quest for like knowing, hey, did these relatives of mine that I loved, are they still existing in some way? And I think that's a big driving force for a lot of paranormal investigators. They've lost a relative, they lost a friend. They want to know if there's an afterlife, that sort of thing. Yeah. And you know what? We think there is, and we think we have pretty good data to show it. We call it data.
We don't call it evidence. Oh God, no.
And really, you got to see our show about the alien gods with Nathaniel.
Oh God.
Not just because we need a view, but because we approach the idea that we're talking about right now. And Nathaniel has a completely outside idea.
Oh my God.
Overall.
It's going to blow your mind. And we're like, oh my God.
And it's cool. And it's so great that, we can all get together and talk about these things, be friends, not fight, not have a war.
That's why we have
opinions. Well, see, that's like, even as a psychic, it's not that I'm skeptical, it's I question. So I know it's there. I can speak to it. I can see, I can hear, but I still question, what am I seeing? What am I hearing? Why? So those questions.
It's an immense gift. I think the mediumship is amazing. And I've had like experiences that were mediumship experiences, but I can't make them happen all the time. There was a time I woke up one night, we were sleeping in our bed, and I looked over and I saw somebody standing over Kristen.
Yeah.
And he's laughing, and he's got a straw hat on. And I'm gonna now, Gen Z is about to leave. If anybody remembers W.C. Fields, W.C. Fields, do you remember him? He had the straw hat, but it's a tight straw.
Yeah.
Brim. It's it's almost like a hard hat in a way, almost like a little top hat, but it's made of straw. is standing over Kristen and is laughing, and he's just like doing this, and it's a creepy friggin' thought.
It is a creepy thought.
I didn't get a creepy feeling from it. I'm like, he's
what the
related.
hell?
I knew it wasn't real, but I could see it.
But you
right?
could also feel that
I could feel that he was related to.
Right, it's
and
a feeling.
When we got up in the morning, I'm like, did you have a relative that had like a hat like this they used to wear? And she goes,
I'm
my
like, for
grandfather.
God's sake, I've been saying this for months now.
Wow.
Thank you, Philip
I've
Wyatt.
never seen. He's been deceased before I knew Kristen. I've never met him.
Yeah.
I've never seen a picture of him.
No.
So I said, you got to show me a picture of him. So she goes and digs, finds a picture.
I
of
found
him,
3 pictures.
and I look at him. It's the same guy.
And I'm
That's
like,
incredible.
Same guy. And it turns out he wore that kind of hat.
and I said to him,
So
no, this is my response to him.
no pictures though either. So
I said,
that's
what
even
was I
stranger,
doing?
right? But
He's like, you were sleeping.
That.
What was he doing? He was whispering in your ear. I'm like, that's creepy
He's
as
laughing.
fuck. I
He's
don't,
like,
I don't want to know that he's doing
Yep.
like
Phil,
that.
what up, Phil? Phil says hello to Marilyn. W.C. Fields, one of the greats. And
Yeah.
Linda Judd says the Hat Man, which is probably better than the Scat Man.
Please don't start that. And thank you,
Definitely
Linda.
better than the scat.
Well,
And then Kimberly says technical science just hasn't caught up with these things yet. And that's the thing. I don't think they should.
you don't think they should?
I don't think they should. I think that should stay in the because
I think it's a ongoing thing.
Well,
right. But I think that's best left for you and me, right? I feel like so I'm a nerd. Okay, I've played Dungeons and Dragons since I was 13 years old. I'm 41 now. But and what that has done.
I thought you were like 23. So you did a good job.
Hey, you want to see my nipples? No. So, but what I mean is, I think it's done a lot for my imagination, and I think science and paranormal need to stay in their own lanes. I feel like there's going to always be some crossover, but I feel like it needs to stay in their own lanes because I feel like having things unexplained to allow me to be imaginative and creative is just as necessary as for me to have a fact and to know the truth.
That's an amazing point. I really like that you said that. And I like the way you put that because you're right. Like you need to have some sort of creativity out there, some sort of imagination, which is lacking in the world in a lot of ways.
And hope.
Right?
Yes.
Everything is already explained. What is
If we
there?
had every answer,
Right.
maybe we would just be bored to death and that would be the end of us. It would be the death of us.
It'd be politics and screw that.
It's a good point.
Right.
Although I think we've been crossing that line between science and the paranormal for 1,000 years. We're doing it anyways. So what was science fiction even 20 years ago is reality today.
Which
right?
is, your lights are still blinking.
But there's still wonder in the world. There's always like some kind of wonder that we don't know at all. Maybe we'll never know it all.
I don't think we ever will. That's the whole thing. That's why I'm hoping CERN, some scientist comes out and says, yes,
it's
not
be
Jeremy
particle
Corbell. Thank
accelerator
you.
And accelerator. It's going to be the
That's
accelerator. And I'm going to drink the apple whiskey because
High hopes for him, but
he does not look 41.
no. Okay.
Thank you. I know. I don't.
I have no glasses on,
It's the
so
economy section of the liquor store.
he does.
Close out apple whiskey. Come on, diet. Starting tomorrow.
Love it.
Well, it just so happens I was a personal trainer for 15 years. So if you have any questions, hit me up.
Excellent.
We got all kinds of comments coming in. Okay, let's see here.
Bill Walter.
We definitely need to have y'all back on.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
We've reached an hour and a half, so I want you guys to go ahead and plug you and everything that you're doing so we can get you off. And we can end the show so we can come back.
That's fine. Nature.
Hey, you don't know what I mean, okay?
We know what you mean.
She's calling. We're going to have a personal conversation with Mother.
You did that earlier.
I'm drinking out of an outhouse, okay? I don't know what to tell you.
I gotta
He's full of shit.
Yeah.
pee on you.
Oh my God, that's gross.
Maybe later. Okay. So
All right.
you can find our shows on Facebook at Dark Horse Paranormal Productions, or you can search for Bigfoot and the Bunny.
Not in the bunny.
A lot of people say that because we say quick. Bigfoot
Thank
and the
you,
Bunny.
Brandon.
Brandon Cooper, Supernatural Inc. is the man behind that one. And you can also find us on YouTube at Dark Horse Paranormal Productions as well. Now we're going to be premiering this Alien Gods thing soon.
Yes.
And I'm sorry, guys. I know we keep saying it's going to be out this week. It's going to be out this week. And it's taking a long time.
Well,
But it's a big learning curve. And we're getting really close. A lot of it, it's mostly done. There's a few more things we got to do. We want to make it perfect. And I think once we get the formula for this idea that we're trying to do, they'll come a lot quicker, and it won't take like 3 months to make one.
no,
It'll hopefully take a couple.
yeah,
of weeks.
we've been, like we
You
said,
know,
we've been sick.
and then there'll be
my
live shows,
son's been sick,
and we can talk and do this hangout thing because we love it. We miss
right
it.
afterwards.
We
yes.
love
Oh my
everybody.
God, I miss it so
It's
much.
crazy. Like, we also feel like we're missing everyone. So we definitely are gonna do that. So stay tuned to those pages.
And we highly
highly recommend
you guys going.
and check out Ghost Pirate Entertainment for horror movie reviews.
Good
because
job.
That is who we're acting like right now when we go
Highly
recommend it.
It's Ghost Pirate Entertainment.
He's great.
Awesome.
He does horror movie reviews on
Kanan.
YouTube.
Yep.
Kanan's fantastic.
Yep. Tubi,
yeah.
anything you have.
Yeah, whatever you got.
Prime.
So yeah, man, we like horror movies, so we do watch them.
Yeah.
But
That's awesome. Do you guys do any Paracons?
sometimes
We do.
we're going to do the Mass Paracon this year because I know there's a group of friends that are going to be there. We
That's in
probably
October, correct?
I don't know. Sam,
Yeah.
put the date
How do you
out.
know that?
Yeah,
I have ESPN.
Ah,
oh
oh my God, that's awesome.
Yeah.
NASCAR on there anywhere?
We will be there. We may also be at Ocean State. I don't know. We'll be
We
speaking
have
on
to, Ocean State,
or whatever.
Rhode Island. We
I
have
know
to
we're
be
gonna
there.
We'll be hawking our wares. So whatever. We're around, and who knows?
my
Hey,
God.
good, if that comes together. I heard it's not happening this year, but things can change. We're
Yeah.
gonna.
Well, we've discussed going to the Mass Paracon, so we may join you out there.
Oh, you
Oh,
have to come here. You have.
And, yeah, I would love to.
Bill keeps asking us to go to Wisconsin, and we have to
We
go and
do.
see Broadhead Manor.
We do.
I am a Green Bay Packer fan. I go to Wisconsin at least once every 2 years. Bill, I will let you know. You can buy me some cheese curds. We will have a great time.
Well, we have friends out there as well. We have Greg
Yeah,
Koss.
Mr. Greg Koss
And, Reggie
Broadhead
Randall.
is that just not something that
Broadhead,
happens
we need to
in
go
parking
see
lots.
it. I want to see the little girl. Yes. What'd you say?
Nothing.
Oh God. Never again with the shots.
Yeah.
You say that now.
I do. I
Boy,
say it
did.
now. I'll do it again. But yeah.
It seems extremely haunted, Bill, and we would love to go.
Oh yes.
Yeah, and I kept telling Mike I don't do many shots either, but
Oh no. Oh God, that would kill my stomach.
Yeah, so let me tell you this. We go to start the show, and Marilyn's like, hey, it would be great, Mike? We should do shots every time we do the show. And I was like, I don't know. I'm not much of a drinker. And she's like, no, it's going to be a great idea. And I was like, are you sure? And she's like, I'm very sure. I'm like, I don't know. She's like, yeah. I'm like, no. She's like, yeah. I'm like, okay.
So like
so
we
here
have topics. Just to tell you, we had topics. We wrote them down and stuff, and I don't even think we got to 25% of them. I have no idea.
Well, then that means it was a good show.
It was
That's
a great
right.
show. We highly recommend it.
That's great. Well, if you ever want us to come on and clog up your show lines, please let us know.
Oh, you
Mike is good
definitely,
with that.
definitely. And just to the horns, we love you. We miss you. We love Scott and
To
Kim.
all you
Horn.
guys, Linda,
Hi,
Bill,
hello.
Everybody.
We've watched the show from the beginning.
guys,
All right,
see ya.
guys. We're going to go ahead and end the show right there. Thank you so much. Chris and Kristen have just been absolutely fantastic. this entire episode. So please check them out, folks. You're going to absolutely love a lot of their content. Marilyn, go ahead and play us out. For all those watching, I have to pee.
Me too.
It turns out alcohol goes right through you.
You put it out now.
That's true. I could just reuse it. It just happens to be very tiny.
All right.